What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me. Hey, it's been a minute, hasn't it? Been a little while, and I am glad to be with all of you today to do a little demo to show folks how you can move your illustration work from static work into exciting animated work. Ooh, pretty cool. Now, you may be thinking, well, Kyle, you're just going to open up Fresco, aren't you? And you're going to work with some motion paths and you're going to do some frame by frame animation and things like that. And I say, you know what, folks? I'm not going to do that today. What I am going to do is I'm going to be working in good old Adobe Express because there are preset animation um, options for you there that are actually pretty interesting. And we're going to take a look at a way to use brushes and do all the cool stuff you're going to do in Photoshop or Fresco, but then jump over to Express for some really quick and dirty animation and even some audio and video editing. It's going to make it so easy. So this is a workflow that I don't think gets sort of shown often enough or even mentioned often enough. I think a lot of times we think of Adobe Express as being sort of this light app, if you will, when it comes to design work. And so creative professionals sometimes kind of put it on the back burner and they think, well, I'll just open up Premiere or After Effects or whatever and do my motion work in there. But there are obviously lots of times when whatever you have to do is pretty simple and you'd like to just knock it out. And well, I think in those situations, you may as well just jump into Express, do it, be done with it, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, where does that expression come from? Oh boy, nice folks joining us here. Let's say hello to some people. Keys, hello to you as well. RB, what's up? Jack, what's up to you? And Alessandra, hello. I see Rob and Nisha and Robert, not to be confused with Rob. And Alejandro, hello. Alessandra as well. How are you all doing? Thanks for joining me, folks. And let's jump into Photoshop. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to work with this illustration that I created. I'm going to just wrap it up. I'm going to add an asset, but I want to first explain what I'm doing with my layers here, okay? So we have a separate layer, if you look over here at my layer stack, okay, for the elements that you see in place. For example, small flower, hide and show. There it is, okay? Here's that big flower. Each of these is on its own layer, therefore I can move it independently and do what I want with it. And the reason for that, I'm mentioning this right at the top for everybody, is if you're going to be using animation in Express, it's nice to keep the elements in your document, in your illustration that you think might be moving at some point, keep them on their own separate layer so that you don't have to later try and do a whole bunch of workarounds to make it so that you can move those things. But there's actually another reason to do this, and it's nothing to do with the layer stack so much as it is to do with a magical thing called libraries. I've mentioned libraries before, and once again, I have to say that it's another one of those things that people either don't know about, or maybe they heard about it once or twice and kind of didn't try it out. But I will tell you that libraries can really save your life. And here's how. Imagine that you have a whole bunch of assets that you're using for a project, whether they be graphics or photos or fonts, um, or even brushes. And you decide that you're just going to lose your temper and you're going to take your laptop and you're going to smash it over your knee. And then you're going to go for a jog. And when you come back, you regret it. Well, here's the thing. If you hadn't saved all that stuff, obviously you're in big trouble. The great thing about libraries is this, folks. Even if you don't smash the computer over your knee, but you do hop on a plane and go all the way over to Tasmania, and you say, you know, I'd like to work on that little project I was working on. My buddy's got a laptop, and my buddy's also got Photoshop. You could sign into Photoshop with your user ID and your password. And guess what? All of those assets that you had saved into a library will just magically, boom, show up in Photoshop right there in your libraries window. You see here, I've got my libraries, okay? Now, you may also recognize some of these little graphics, as tiny as they may be in this display. But we see here, look, an apple. We see a piece of bread. We see a flower. These are elements from this illustration. And I'm saving out these individual layers as library graphics, okay? And they're transparent. So don't worry, you're not going to have like a JPEG. It's going to be a transparent layer. You can move it around, do whatever you want, place it in a new document. So for example, let's say I do create a new document and I just tap on my friend the apple here and go bloop and just drop it onto my canvas. Well, look at that. Now I've got that in a new document. I can play around with it, do whatever I want. Place that. Let's get the bread, pop it on there, etc. So these are traveling with me wherever I go, anywhere in the world, sign into somebody's machine, and they're good. But they also travel across apps. So let's say, for example, I do decide to go into After Effects or Premiere or something like that, and I want to use some graphics. I have my libraries, everything's in there. Okay, my graphics, my fonts, my colors in this specific library or any other library, and I'm really in good shape. Keys says, Kyle, one of your famed brushes was featured in the previous live stream. Ooh, what do you think about that? That's nice. I appreciate whoever decided to use that brush, so thank you to them. Marcy says, I sort of use libraries sparingly. One question I have is, do libraries use up the storage space of my Adobe plan? I would imagine that they do. That would be my guess. And then Keys has confirmed this in the chat. So if that's a concern of yours, if you have limited storage, then I guess depending on what you're saving in the libraries, that is something to consider. If you're saving big, like 3-4 gig files, then maybe you got to think about that. All righty. So let's carry on. I'll close this document because we don't need it. Bye-bye. All right, back to our art. So what I thought I would do with this was draw a couple of carrots right here to sort of fill in that space. Now we do have this big open space here, but that is going to be filled with a logo. So for this, what I decided is I was imagining that there was a university sort of farmer's market situation. So imagine this university and the students get together and they say, we're going to grow our own veggies, we're going to make some soap, we're going to do whatever, and sell it to our fellow students, faculty, educators, and the community. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to advertise that, create some graphics for social, maybe do some printed stuff as well, little posters or flyers to put up around campus? That's the general idea. And so this is going to be sort of our hero graphic for this, but these elements can be reused. All right, hence the reason that I'm saving these out in our graphics for a library. Now, to draw the carrots, what I'm going to do is use the same technique I did for all of this stuff. I'll zoom in and you can see that what we have are very solid outlines. Okay, so these silhouettes are all crystal clear, no texture or anything like that. And this was done simply by using the Lasso tool, creating a selection, and then using custom brushes inside the active selection to generate beautiful colors and textures that you're seeing here. So in order to keep it consistent, I will again use the Lasso tool here. And for those of you who are interested in drawing more quickly with the Lasso tool, you should check out my Lasso Fill if you haven't tried it. It's a plugin that I made for Photoshop, and I did that with my pal David. It is really fun. You can get it over at Proco, but you can also get it in my Gumroad shop. So check it out, the Lasso Fill or the Super Lasso. And I'll just show you what that looks like right here. Here I have a fill mode enabled. If I were to select a color with my lasso and just make another layer and just draw the carrots, okay, like so, whatever, boom. Of course, that little area is empty because I just cut it out when I was making my selection. But you can see how nice and fast that is. The other cool thing is it keeps your active selection if you do one step back with your undo, okay? So check that out, gang. All right, but we're not going to use that right now because we are going to be making a selection and then painting inside. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, carrot number 1. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to make this carrot slightly bigger than the other carrot. So we'll do this. Now, the brushes I was using for this came, I believe, from the spring 2021 brush set, but let's see if I've got my facts straight. After all, I've made over 2,000 brushes at this point, and there are times when I get a little lost, but let's see what we got. Spring 2021. Kyle, you were incorrect. But maybe it's spring 2020. Kyle, you were incorrect. You know what I just realized, folks? It was fall. And there it is. Fall 2021, Pigmentia. That is our friend that we want to use for this. Now, I do have some colors already here on the canvas, and I do have an orange right there. I may as well use that same orange. Fill this in, and you say, well, that doesn't look too interesting. It's just kind of a solid color. Hang on a minute. This is what you do. Change the hue, the saturation, the value ever so slightly, and now just kind of like brush over that gently, and look what you get. See that? It's some other cool business going on. And now you can see how I got all these textures and good things happening in these other parts of the illustration. If I want, I could even go for a yellow, use some light pressure, and just do something like that. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Ta-da! Carrot. I'm trying to learn German. I think I have to say Karotten auf Deutsch. Somebody help me out in the chat. I'm so bad at learning German, folks, and I'll tell you why. The main reason is I really don't want to learn it. So if you don't want to learn something, it's kind of hard to learn it. All right, there's my first carrot. I'll make a layer underneath that. Draw the second carrot. Here we go. And we'll go ahead, fill that in, borrow some of those same colors. Boom, boom, boom. And then right up along the edge, just make sure it's a little darker. So there's a bit of a sort of a shadow there, and the two of them are distinct. What do you think? Not bad. Got some carrots. It would be nice to have a little bit of texture in there for some kind of lines, as you see on carrots. And to do that, I could use any brush I want. There are all kinds of goodies. Let's see if I can find something that feels like an inking tool. Here we go. This ink wonk is kind of fun. So let's go ahead and first we'll combine these layers, okay? Command E. Command E or Control E if you're on a PC. Merge your layers together. And let's just do this. We'll just go bump, 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 bump. We'll draw across here. Make that line break occasionally. See this? We're not getting too picky with it, right? And here's a little trick, okay? Let me show you something. Let's grab that yellow and bust it out over the darker area. What do you think about that? It's kind of fun. All right. There you go. Okay, and so now we've got some nice little texture going on there. Feeling good, feeling good. The other thing we're missing is we're missing some greens up at the top. Now we do have this nice green down here in the bottom right, and so for balance, maybe I should consider using this and that combined. Let's do it. Select that color. Back to our friend, the Lasso tool, and away we go. Like that. Okay, there's one. And here, we'll just go like so, and maybe just a little piece like that. I think that'll feel good. All right. Back to the brush we were using a moment ago, Pigmentia. Now, a lot of folks don't realize this, but right up here, the top of your brush list is actually a little mini brush history. And if you're wondering why we don't make that obvious, I can't answer that question, but that's why you watch Adobe Live, because you learn all the cool stuff. So here it is. Look, I can just go back to that Pigmentia brush and paint in with that green. And now remember what I talked about. We're going to grab this green, bring that into the mix. Okay. Like so. So we've got both of those playing nicely. Could even bring in some of that yellow just for kicks here and there. I'm just sort of stabbing at the canvas. You can probably hear that as I draw. There you go, gang. Now we've got some carrots, okay? They're on their own little layer. Now let's open up our libraries again. Here we go. And here is this graphics library that I have. Remember, if you don't see your libraries, don't panic. Go to Window right here and tap on Libraries, and that'll bring that window up so you can see your libraries. What I want is to add carrots to the library. Here's how you do it. Select that layer. It is selected. Step one is complete. Here's a little plus right here. Tap on the plus. What do you want to do? I want to use this graphic. Let's tap on graphic. Woo! There it goes. See the little spinning blue wheel? It's telling me that it's adding the carrot to my library. Now, this is great because I have this separate graphic. It's already saved, good to go. If I fly to Singapore and I log in, I can find the carrot. All right. Now we've got our carrots, we've got all this other good stuff. I think what I want to do, just looking at the whole composition, is take the carrots, and I noticed that there's something, I must have used my brush somewhere around there. Do you notice that when I make a selection? Check it out. When I make a selection of the carrot, there's some pixel somewhere all the way around here where I must have tapped on the canvas with my brush. Not to worry, we just do this. Make a little selection around what it is we want to keep, which is our carrots here, okay? Command-Shift-I or Control-Shift-I if you're on PC is going to select the inverse. I'm going to hit Delete. So whatever it was that I drew somewhere, one little tiny pixel, stray pixel, is gone. I will delete my carrot from my library. Tap on this, go back to graphic. Now it'll add the carrot again, and this time, yes, I can see that it has not included any weird stray pixels. All right, so what I was going to say is I want to take my carrots and shrink them down a little bit. I think they need to feel a bit more balanced there with everything else that we're looking at. Okie dokie. There you go, folks. That is my illustration. Now, here I mentioned that there was going to be a little logo. So what I did was I popped over to Adobe Illustrator and I created this. So we're now in Photoshop. I've just brought in that Illustrator file. So Uni Market, not the most creative name, but this is a demo, so please don't judge me. Oh, look, there's a carrot again. How nice. Obviously, these colors were borrowed directly from the art. Consistency, this is good. This is going to be something that will live. Let's go back. Right in that space I just showed you a moment ago. Right here, like so. Okay, and I'm going to be animating that as well. So I've already kept it in my library. It's saved, it's ready to go. We don't need it as part of this file. Now let's take a look if we have any extra bits and pieces in here that we do not need. So for example, we have a lot of little details. See these? I haven't even bothered to label them. All of those could be animated. I could do things with them, but just for keeping things simple for now, I'll go ahead, group those, Command-E, merge them together. Now they're just their own little thing. These little guys, I'm not going to have them do anything special. I can merge them together as well. This little guy, I guess he could be spinning, so we'll do purple flower. And then we have another little mini purple flower right there. That's fine. And these are like little seeds. And then we've got that weird little leaf up there. So for the most part, things are pretty well labeled, okay? If you've watched me do demos before, you know that I'm not always the best at labeling my layers. All right, let's see. Comments are coming in. Oh, my goodness sakes. Let's see. I need to clean out my library, says Marcy. I have a bunch of stuff I put there a while ago and probably don't need. Yes, this is a good habit. Absolutely. I highly recommend periodically go through your libraries and just purge, okay? That's a good thing to do. Thanks. Hey, Jack is being so nice, throwing up a little link to the brushes. Yeah, folks, if you are wondering how to get the brushes, I show this every time. Open your brushes panel. Come on down to what we call a hamburger menu in the top right corner. Tap on that. And look, get more brushes. That is the key. So you tap on that. It'll open up a page where you just log in with your username and password, your Adobe ID, and you'll have then massive list of brushes to download. Tap on download for any one of those brush sets, and you're off to the races. Want to make sure everybody's aware. I should probably do this. I'm not sure if I'm signed in though, so I don't want to have to do that on the stream, but let's see if I'm signed in. I'm not signed in. All right, well, regardless, here's what I'll say. I think this is really important for people to know. And actually, this just came up. I was at the wonderful IAMAG conference in Paris a month ago. And when I was showing the brushes, people said, well, I've got the mega pack, so I'm good to go. And I had to explain for the 1 millionth time, the mega pack is its own separate brush set. It is not. The mega pack is not, I repeat, all the brushes. So I think it's really important for people to know that that's how that works. So if you are thinking, oh, I'll download the mega pack and I'll be good to go. Um, no, the mega pack is about 400 and some change brushes that are completely their own. They're only in the mega pack. All the other brush sets, the other 1,600 and some change brushes, are in their own separate packs, and those are all not part of the mega pack. So if you download the mega pack, you do not have all the brushes. Okay, you have just you have a good number, but you only have a bit. Okay. There you go. That's how you get the brushes. So let's move on now and let's do a little something different because we have our art. We've moved things into libraries. Wonderful. What do we want to do with this now? Let's jump over to Adobe Express and let's see what we can do. So I hope, let me see here. I'm pretty sure I'm sharing my whole screen. And if not, we can just set that up really quickly. I don't think I'm only sharing Photoshop, so hang on a bit. Bum, 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 bum. Right. Okay. Here we go, folks. Here we go. This is our friend Adobe Express. We're on the home page. Now, I just added to a library some carrots, you may recall. This is a live demo. Anything could happen. So whatever. I'm used to things going goofy sometimes. But I think it'd be fun if we open a blank document, we bring some of these elements in, and see if the carrots made it all the way over. Because wouldn't that be nice if they just updated that fast? And usually they do. So let's give it a try. So we're going to be thinking about what we want to do with this image, with the logo, etc. I mentioned up at the top, animation. So let's start with some social stuff. All right. So let's say, for example, I want to make a little Instagram story. All right. So we'll start with social media right up here. All right. Now, if you've never used Express, by the way, it's very easy, very intuitive. You can just find what you need up here in terms of categories. And then you've got millions of templates to choose from that are all really, really simple and totally editable, etc. But look here, we have Instagram square post and right there, Instagram story. Now I could mess around looking for templates and things like that, but I have my own design. That's the great thing. If you're a creative pro and you do your own design work, you want to just start from scratch, in which case just don't tap on the browse templates, just tap slightly beneath it. It'll open a blank document for you. Okay. You can still see templates over here on the left, and you can start browsing through those if you wish to start with something like that. All right. Now, what I need are my assets. So if you look over here on the left, we have your stuff. And up at the top, in addition to files, look at this. Oh, there's that file. How nice. Libraries. So you'll remember that library I saved was called Uni Demo. So what happens is it brings in all these libraries. So let's see. I need my Uni Demo library. Where'd that? Where are you, Uni Demo? Where are you? I don't know if these are in order of when I created them or what. So if anybody sees it, yell something at me in the chat. Because, you know, as Saul Rosenberg says, my eyes aren't so good. If anybody gets that joke, you are old. All right, hold on a second. Libraries. How come I can't see my Uni Express library? Where'd it go? Where's my Uni Express library? Am I missing something, folks? You know what I'm realizing here? It's funny. A lot of these libraries aren't mine. They must be shared libraries I have with folks. You see, this is the problem. I remember one of you in the chat was mentioning that you have stuff you got to clear out the clutter. I'm clearly in the same boat as you. All right, let's go to files here. Yeah, these are my files for sure. In fact, look at this. All my Creative Cloud files, all my Photoshop and Fresco artwork is sitting right there if I want to bring it in, which is super cool. All right, I'll do this. UNI search. Well, that's weird. All right, well, I told you it's a live demo. This is what happens, gang. What I could do is refresh and see, you know, keep my fingers crossed and hope that Express is going to update and show me my Uni library. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world because I can just bring in the Photoshop file by saving it locally and still work with the layers. Okay, I was just kind of hoping I could show you the coolness of libraries, but this is what happens sometimes. All right, while that's refreshing, I'm going to bounce over to Photoshop and I'm going to save this locally. I'll merge a few layers that I don't need to be like animated. So we'll do that. Boom, we'll do that. And this one we can drop down into that group as well. And let's go ahead and save this locally. There we go. Voila. All right, so I've saved that to my machine. I'll bounce back now over to Express, and it's still trying to load. So something clearly is happening here with Express. I'm not sure what. It just doesn't seem to want to play ball. I'm hearing that my internet connection is not great because according to my lovely producer, everything is a little bit crunchy. So it's totally possible that everyone in my neighborhood right now in Germany is trying to watch Netflix after dinner, and I'm not getting the best stuff coming through. So please bear with me, folks. All right, in the meantime, look at this. The little plus sign here. You can upload your media. Now, this could be things like PNGs and JPEGs or whatever, but you can also upload layered files. How nice. And of course, this makes sense since we are working with Adobe stuff. I may as well be using Photoshop. And you'll notice I just have this illustration right here, which we just saved. Now, if I say open, it's going to upload that. And what it's going to do is take all of the layers and it's going to convert them into Express layers. And you'll see that layers in Express are slightly different from how they work in Photoshop, in that it's not going to change the way that they look, okay? But you will be using things like blending modes and so on. It's not going to have masks. It's not going to have any of that kind of stuff. It's just going to be really, really simple, really easy. So we see a little thumbnail right here to show me a preview, so I know that I'm uploading the right thing. And now it's converting the layers. And it's also giving me like a little progress bar here. So if you want to work this way, you could work in Illustrator. You could upload a document from there. In fact, if anybody watched the Adobe Max presentation from October, I think, of this of 2023, just a few months ago, you will have perhaps seen Paul Trani do a really good demo where he went from Illustrator into Express. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and look it up. It's the day one keynote. All right, so what we have here is the same file. And if you look over here, you will recognize the same layer stack that I had before. And now I'm just, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I'm curious to see if my libraries did in fact update. So I'm just popping over here to libraries and I'll let that populate and see if anything changed. Because I am wondering why that one specific library is being so bad and not updating. Well, I don't see it at the moment, so we'll leave it be. All right, so coming back here. Now, I mentioned animation. So if you're doing something small, you're doing something simple, you want to just quickly make things move, remember what I said, keep it on separate layers. And now let's just tap on our carrots, for example. All right. Now down here, you'll see animation. And you have three options you can choose from. Do you want this to animate into your scene? Do you want it to loop? Or do you want it to animate out? Or all three? You can do all of them. So just to keep things simple, I'm going to start with a little animation in. Now, it gives me a little preview of what a bungee is, what a drift is. You'll see that. Okay, I can select that and then have it drift in. Now, if I want to edit that, we have options down here. I can say I want that to happen faster. I have different personalities for it. I want it to be a soft transition, or maybe I want it to be energetic like it was. All of these will have a slightly different personality. I want it to drift up, maybe down into the scene. Down seems to make sense to me. All right, let's go to looping animation and let's try something like maybe a little jitter, like that. Now, if we want to slow that down so it's not too distracting, we can do that. We can reduce the intensity. So we've got it animating in, we've got a looping animation, and we're not going to animate out because we're just going to, once things are actually in place, each of my elements are there, just going to let them loop for a little while I bring in other stuff. Now, one thing you might have noticed changed the moment that I decided I wanted to add some animation to this otherwise static illustration, a timeline appeared down here at the bottom. So this is a really simple, easy to use timeline. It's very bare bones, and that's by design. It's so that you can understand right away, I understand this is a timeline. There's not going to be a whole bunch of keyframes and all kinds of other things and tweening and transitions. That's not what it's for, okay? However, I will show you something here. If you have any elements that are moving in the timeline, and you need to be able to see them separately and decide when they enter a scene or when they leave, you can use this little option here, Show Layer Timing. Now, by tapping on that, I can now see that the carrots enter at the beginning of this animation, and they remain all the way until the end of the scene right here. But there are little handles I can drag. So let's go back to the beginning. Now I hit play, nothing happens, and then the carrots come in. So we can do this with all of these objects. So let's take the apple, for example, and let's say we want to add some animation. We'll animate that in with maybe a grow, like so. Excellent. And I think that duration is pretty good. Let's see if I go a little slower. That's actually quite nice. And now I can see the timing. So maybe I want that to happen after the carrots animate in, so I can just move that over here. And that little purple dot you saw for a moment, that's telling me, hey, there's another element in your video that is actually being queued right here. So I know that's the carrots. I'm going to just pop this over here. So now if we start, we see carrots, and then there goes the apple. Excellent. Now currently the apple has no looping animation, so why don't we just tap on looping? And maybe we'll do wiggle, like so. It's similar to jitter, but not quite the same. And we can increase the speed a little bit, increase the intensity. There's a little apple, very nice. And we've got two elements done just like that. Look, the flower. Now with the flower, I think it'd be nice to do some rotation. So we'll animate that in, maybe have that tumble in, bump, bump, bump. That's fun, isn't it? And then keep that rotation happening. Since it tumbled in from the left and it was moving clockwise, we'll do looping and we'll say spin. We've got it already moving the right way. And we'll reduce the intensity. And there you go. All right, now I'll have that start just a little bit past the apple, like so. And let's take a look. 1, 2, and 3. See how easy this is, folks? It's really a little bit too easy, frankly. Let's take a look at the bread. Now, you'll notice that too in Express, I'm not having to go down through my layer stack to select things. I can just select directly on the canvas, and it auto-selects whichever layer I want to edit. So with the bread, same deal. We go to animation. We animate in. We can have that rise from the bottom, like so. Maybe go a little faster. Go to looping. And maybe for this, we'll do kind of a yo-yo effect, maybe blinking effect. Let's see, breathing, jitter, bob, kind of like that bobbing. That's kind of fun. I'll do that, but I'll make it a lot less intense. And we'll reduce the speed a little bit. And there's the bread. See that? And we can have that happen maybe in between carrots, apple. There we go. Excellent. All right, now this little guy down here, we want to maybe do a little something with that as well, since that's a larger element in the illustration. So we'll move again to animation. We'll have that pop in maybe from the right side. We'll do rise, but have it just like that. Perfect. And then we'll have that do a little pulse, less intensity. And there we go. Let's see how that looks. It's okay. I don't know. Kind of feel like I should change that to something else. Maybe something more like a yo-yo. Let's try that. That's kind of fun. Now the intensity is way too much, so let's try a little less than that. All right, see how we feel about this. Okay, not bad. Yeah, I think that's fine. And we can have that be sort of last right there. All right, let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty good. I think that's enough. You know, maybe the soap could do a little back and forth kind of business. So we'll go ahead and animate that just with a loop. And we'll have that do a little wiggle like that. Okay. Now, we need our logo. Remember, I had that saved as a library element. Now, if I don't have it saved and I can't get to my libraries, although hopefully I can now, let's just take a look at my stuff. And we'll look and see. I mean, I'm holding out hope. You can see I'm an eternal optimist. Um, so let's see here. UNI. Nope. All right. Let's try this. If I go to my libraries and try again, UNI. No. All right. Sorry, gang. But I do think I may have saved that logo as a PNG, in which case I can go to media and upload right there. Voila. Now there we have our uni market. If you're in Express and you want to move layers and rearrange the layers in your document, you just grab a layer and start dragging like this, similar to how it works in Fresco. So that's pretty easy. All right, so we grab our uni market logo, we pop it in there. Now, obviously, that should definitely animate in. It is kind of important. It's our only piece of text. We go to animation. We say we're going to animate that in. And for this, I think some kind of shrinking into place would be good, or maybe dropping in from the top. Let's try a drift from the top. Okay, it looks pretty good. And we'll have that as things are just about done here. We'll have that drift in nice and slow. All right, let's see how that looks. Play, and there it is. All right, excellent. So we've gone ahead and added a little bit of subtle animation all throughout this piece. And now all we have to do is download it as an MP4 and pop it up to Instagram or whatever else we want to do. But you can also do something interesting in Express. Now, I don't have this hooked up, but I wanted to show it to you because it's very cool. For those of you that are working with a lot of campaigns where you've got multiple assets and you're posting frequently, and maybe you want to be scheduling things beforehand for when they're going to go out, there is a free content scheduler that comes with Express. So if you're doing any of the subscriptions for Express, the solo, or if you've got it with part of your CC plan or any other apps, the content scheduler is just a free thing that comes along with that. And it's important to mention this because content scheduling is something a lot of people pay extra for as a standalone service and things like that. But here it's just included, which is pretty cool. So if I go to share, you'll see we have a bunch of options here, one of which is to schedule a post, okay? So of course you've got the standard share with your socials, etc. You can go ahead and copy a link if you want to invite people to go ahead and collaborate and work with this on you with you. And this, what this means is you're going to be able to share this actual Express file, and everybody has editing capabilities who you assign to. But let's go ahead and schedule. And what this will do is it's going to open up the content scheduler. And here you can just add your caption, and then you select the channel. So you'll see here I've got Twitter is set up. But if I wanted to set up anything else, I would just go ahead and open the connections, set them up with my username and password. Once you've done this one time, you are good to go. So you would select your channels, add your caption, and then for the scheduling, look at this. You can schedule all the way out to, let's see, maybe 2067 is a good year. I mean, sure, you could do that if you want, but it can all be done. So this is a really sweet thing because then you've got your calendar. You can just do a whole bunch of stuff. You can have all your content scheduling done. Maybe this is something you do one day a week where you just do your entire week's worth, your entire month's worth of social posts, and then you just say, okay, I can go to bed now. Pretty nice. All right, pausing here. Let's see. Key says, I'm a nocturnal optimist. That's funny. Oh, nocturnal optometrist. Even funnier. I appreciate the wordplay, Keys. Oh, you have Starlink. Interesting. I saw Starlink for the first time about a year ago and thought it was a UFO for the first time in my life. I thought, well, I guess UFOs are real. If you've never seen them up in the sky flying over, you have no idea what's going on because it is extremely confusing to see a bunch of little lights just trailing up in the sky. All right. Let's see. Any other question? Any questions here? Cool. Love the carrots. Thanks, Cody. Great. All right. So you can see how this is going. You can see how this works, right? So we've got a little animation, and then here's the rest of our thing. Now, what I could do is I could just trim this down and just make this like a, maybe a 4-second vid. Good enough, right? Let's take a look. Bum, bum, bum. And there it is. All right. But. Let's do something else. I'm going to just extend this to 6 seconds. And here's something I love. This is so easy to do. We're going to go to audio and record a voiceover. So here we go. Hey, come on down to the Uni Market every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. All right, we'll trim the bit we don't need. And now, whoops, it created a second scene. We don't need that. We'll just go ahead here, tap on the little dot, say bye-bye. And hey, come on down to the Uni Market every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hey, come on down to the... I don't know if you all can hear that or not, but there's now audio attached to this. And that was really, really easy. Plus, it cleans up the audio right away. It's very nice. So the sound quality is great, even though my mic's nothing special right now. In addition to that, let's try something else. Let's just close this out for a minute. And under audio, look at this. Free music. Thousands of songs. So let's see. That's a bit much. I like this. Life in nature. We just pop that in. It automatically trims it for the length of the video. Now I've got some sound, some music. We'll turn the music down so it doesn't drown out my voice. Hey, come on down to the Uni Market every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Okay, so I've just added a background bit of music. I've got my voiceover. And that's going to be great. It's a little MP4. I can now just go ahead and download that as an MP4. You can use the original size. We'll do that. It's going to download a square MP4 file, and I'm going to be good to go. So that's going to just go into my downloads folder. I can move it wherever I want, and then pop it up to the socials, okay? What do you think about that, folks? Pretty easy, right? You make yourself a tiny little animated video from a static illustration you created in Photoshop. You've got assets you can bring in from Illustrator. You can use libraries. I know it wasn't working for me this time, but believe me, it works. I've been doing live demos with libraries many, many times, and occasionally things just don't work out. I think it's because my internet connection is so poor at the moment. So apologies for that. But do please give that a try. All right, but what else can we do? Now I mentioned, of course, printed stuff. So if you wanted to do like a flyer or a poster, we've got this little animation. That's great. What if we wanted to turn this into an actual video? You could totally do that as well. Add more scenes. And I think I should demonstrate a little bit how to do some of these things because we do have just enough time for that. I know that, yeah, Peter said, I don't hear any music. Yes, I'm using the microphone right now. It's not going to pick up the sound that's coming from my Mac. So if I turn the microphone towards the speakers, you may maybe hear it, but I think Zoom, because I'm using Zoom on this production through Adobe, is probably not going to be trying to play any music. It's just going to cut that out because it's not a human voice. Yeah, it says Kyle has audio output, doesn't have audio output set up. Correct. Yeah, and I'm not doing this through Wirecast or OBS or anything. I'm doing this through Zoom and through Production Assistant assistance. So that's what you're going to get, but give it a try. All right, but what if you want to add other stuff? Well, the great thing about already being in this environment is now I have access to literally millions of videos and graphics and icons and everything else you could want. So maybe I'm collaborating with some folks on this farmers market idea for Uni Market. Some of the students, I say, hey, folks, here are the assets I've got to run. You all just produce some cool stuff and you'll be fine. Well, there are a couple things you could do. One thing you could do is give them some branding. And in Express, you do have brands. And so if you look over here, there's a little button that says brands. If you wanted to create a brand and give them some colors, give them some fonts, give them some logos and things like that, you would just create a new brand. And if you'll see here, I've got this Uni demo brand that I created for this. And there's the logo, okay, two versions of it. And then look here, I've got these colors that I pre-selected. So if somebody were to go through and want to do this, they could use the fonts, they could use these assets I've created as well. And they could go ahead and they could create flyers, social posts, posters, stickers, I don't care, anything that they want right here using that brand. And that brand is fixed to your Express and your Adobe ID. So again, just in the same way that libraries work, if I were to log in somewhere else and use someone else's machine and sign into Express, I'm fine. All my assets are still there, my brands are still there, and I can continue to work on that stuff. So with that said, let's check out what would happen if I wanted to go ahead and make this work in a different format. So we have this document here. We can go here and look at this page, so to speak, in this project. And I can actually duplicate this, right? Duplicate. And we'll tap on that. And when it brings me back now, I can resize it. So I think what we'll do is a video, proper video, say resize. And you'll see that it just automatically keeps everything where it is and goes ahead and resizes it. But it also took my background graphic, see that? And it went ahead and extended it so that it works. All right, now what I could do is just take all of these elements, kablamo, and we're just going to slide. Whoops, we don't want the background. Sorry about that. Doop, doop, doop. We want everything but the background. Slide it over to the right. There we go. Hey, come on down to the Uni Market every. I didn't get everything, did I? Because of the elements that animate in later. So I'll move my playhead. See that? You can move the playhead. Go ahead and grab everything and slide it over. There we go. All right, now, the reason I'm moving everything over is I'm going to make a space here for something else to appear with informational text, or I could actually have something like an image or even a video playing right there. So I'll show you how that works. Videos can be brought in just like layers or anything else. All right, so let's jump back to the beginning here. And I can run through and make sure everything looks right. Good, good, good. And now we'll go over to our media and tap on videos. And look for farmer's market. And now you'll see all these nice options. And if I hover over them, right, I can see what the video looks like. All right, like this one. And watch this. Just make it bigger. About this big is good. Actually, I want to have both characters in there, so I'm going to pop that down here. And I can crop it like a photo. So we'll just do a square. And move that right there. And when I tap off of it, now I've got it there. We'll just pop that down here. All right, so there's our little video, and I'll create a little shape behind it. So we'll go over to our elements, tap on shapes. We have our rectangles right here. I'll just use a basic rectangle. And I'm going to drag that down behind our video layer. All right, so it's all the way back here. There we go. And we have all the same tools you would expect, like the eyedropper tool. I can select this nice green. And now we have this little bar where we could place some info, okay? In fact, what I'll do with this video is I'll go ahead and with the crop, I'm going to use a rounded rectangle. And then I can make that a little smaller. I'll just pop it up here at the top like that. Bum, 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 bum. So easy. All the guides work really great. There we are. Now, just to show you how this works, okay, I'm just going to hit play for a second. You'll see. Hey, come on. You can see the video playing in there. It just works like a layer. It's so easy. And now what I can do is add some text. So we'll just say text and add your text. And I think I said every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And look, I have dynamic text. Okay, so you can play around with this. All right, different stacking options and things like that. If you wish, you can also use different fonts that are recommended. All right, pretty nice. I'll get rid of the word from. You don't need that. And there's our little informational thing right there. Go ahead and use your justification for that. I mean, sorry, center that with our graphic. Voila. And some little bit of info could go right there. Maybe it could be a website. Okay, so we'll just say, let's add our text again. And we'll say uni-marketfoods.com. And we can double tap in here. We can make it any size we like. Use different fonts. Don't forget, I do have a brand I could choose to use, right? If we go to our brands, I have already pre-selected fonts that I think are good, right? So if I want to use that, I could do this. Go to my brands. Bum, bum, bum. Whoops. Why am I? Oh, I think I'm doing something wrong here. Gill Sans Nova Extra Bold. I've done it before, but I don't know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. All right, so we just put that right there. Blah, 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 blah. All right, now let's take a look. Maybe you want to bring this in a little later, so we'll just do this. And remember how we use animation. Let's animate that in with a shrink. There you go. Make sure you use sound effects, otherwise it's no fun, okay? And now, let's rewind. Back we go. Hey, come on down to the Uni Market every Saturday. Excellent. Now, I've got all my elements in place here. And I want to move them so they're a bit better justified with the other info. And make them a little bigger. And take a look. Hey, come on down to the Uni Market every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Folks, that's just a little bit too easy. I'm sorry, but there's a video. Now, if you wanted to make this a poster, what would you do? Pop over here, grab this, okay, duplicado, and come back. Remember what your little ticket to freedom is here for sizes. We say poster, we say resize. All the elements are there, okay? I can get rid of all the animation. Just tap on anything that's animated. Right here, just tap on this. We go to animation, say bye-bye, etc. Just get rid of all that stuff. Or if you want, just copy paste and throw it into a new doc. But it's nice to keep everything in your project in one location, okay? And then I just add my titles, I add my info, and I've got a poster, and then I've got a flyer, and then I've got stickers. And it's all up to you however you want to do it. Maybe you want to create some other information where you just use some of these assets. So for example, I want to use my hero, but I don't want to use everything else that's in here. So I say, okay, bye-bye you, bye-bye you. I'm going to move you over here. We're going to say carrots are going there. And look at this. I can just rearrange things however I want. Okay? Super easy. See what I mean? It's so flexible. So there you go, gang. That is a really great workflow. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll give this a try. And I think it's really powerful, and a lot of C pros really need to get going with this. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember to be kind. I'm Kyle Webster. I'll say ciao for now.